What's up, guys? Welcome back to Ravenrock channel. So today I'll be basically talking about I'll be commenting on the Biden recent economy policy and also sharing a bit of my views of global economy. At the same time, I'm gonna talk about a little bit of my insights about like Chinese real estate market. So first of all, we're gonna talk about the breaking news. Why Wall Street favorite tax break is Biden target, whatever. This is quite controversial because a lot of people is discussing about is it good to really tax the rich. So there will be two-sided kind of opinions. People who support this kind of political maneuver will be saying it is good to tax the rich people, and it's also good so the society could reallocate those wealth and hopefully be able to inject those wealth to people who are in need. And people who against this tax policy would be saying that well, you're trying to tax the rich but the rich people are the people who create kind of jobs. So by taxing these rich people, you'll be basically killing their incentive of further hiring. So, I mean, that is a question, right? A lot of people, there's a huge debate on this kind of problem. And people are, like, we would be hearing about, different economists, like Fredman, like a lot of famous economists were talking about this topic. Is it really good to tax the rich people? Well, from my ear, I think my perspective, I think that, well, it is fair to tax the rich people, but in the same time, it is a trade-off. You have to be aware of, the downside of having these kind of policy. Of course, Wall Street, the entire financial institutions, the entire elite class have been largely, we're talking about enormously benefit by deregulation policy for a very long time. A lot of people don't really understand about the deregulation policy. What it means is that the Federal Reserve would kind of ease the monetary policy. So the financial institution, along with the banks, would be able to, get insanely amount of cheap loans directly from the central bank. And this is how our, the real economy works. Basically, the money will flow from the central bank to the commercial bank. And, basically by, the central bank will basically lend out the money to the commercial bank, and the commercial bank will lend out to the entities and corporates for them to produce and to make they keep providing their services, creating jobs and opportunities, etc. And manage to pay these loans back. So basically, what the deregulation is that the central bank is implementing more and more cheap loans to the market, and so basically the commercial banks and also financial institutions will be able to take advantage of the cheap loan and say, for example, that you're borrowing a large sum of money. Say you're borrowing $1 trillion. All right, hypothetically speaking, that you're borrowing $1 trillion, and you're only paying like 1% of interest rate. That, and then you turn out and buy some treasury bonds, you buy some long-term bonds and all these products that you end up making maybe -1%. I mean maybe 2 to 3% of money that off that $1 trillion. That means that you're basically making around 1 billion out of 1 trillion. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you're basically making out of these free money, and that is so wrong because you'll be able to monetize and take advantage of such a low interest rate And because come on, like individual people that like us, we're not like Wall Street banker. We're not working for BlackRock. We're not supposed to be that close to this kind of money. So it is not likely you'll be able to borrow this money out of the bank. But so the Biden policy, back to the Biden policy, the entire wealth and elite have been profiting from all these economy policy because of the deregulation policy. But the Democrats that trying to make it as if they're trying to compensate, like trying to provide a solution to the wealth problem. Well, to be honest, what I believe is the deregulation policy and Dodd-Frank Act, all these kind of legal legislative policy should be put and promote to further limit the power of the bank instead of letting all these financial institutions do whatever they want and borrow all the money with the cheap rates. That is the core issue. All right, that's the core issue for the rich people, because for the rich people, they can always try to have certain tax evasion, right? You create a charity fund, maybe you create an offshore, maybe you set it in a Cayman Island, maybe Virgin Island. You'll be able to set up a trust or maybe a fund that's offshore. That's highly likely that you're going to tax them, right? So you end up taxing those strong middle class, because those ultra rich people, they created charity funds, they created all this, right? So it ends up like that what you're trying to do is that you're trying to tax the ultra rich people, but the ultra rich people, your money are not like within the United States. They're wiring their money offshore, maybe in the like Switzerland and other kind of countries, right? And maybe in Singapore, right? Their money are really safe and then being taxed extremely low of the capital gain, and then you're not taxing these people, right? And then you're ending up taxing those people, like we were saying, like strong middle class. Those kind of strong middle class people, I would be saying they are the most valuable assets of the United States of America, because me personally, I'm not American, right? But having lived in China for more than a long decade, right? I've been living in China for more than 20 years, right? So I'd be able to see the big difference between China and the United States. The best assets for the United States is actually the talented immigrants. We're talking about the best and the most talented people and individuals. They're migrating from different cultural backgrounds, different countries, and they are now becoming an asset of America, right? And if you tax severely on these people, that you're driving them away. You're sort of driving these people away to maybe Singapore, to another countries, right? So for me, these Biden tax policy is more like I'm trying to do something, but I don't know if it works, but I'm doing it anyway. And in the same time, I'm not going to regulate the banks. I'm not going to increase interest rate until I see some inflation inside the economy system. And so this is the reason why I've been criticizing Democrats for a very, very long time. Like I also criticize GOP, right? I'm not like only criticizing like demo, but this is insane for the Democrats. And a lot of people, because they don't necessarily have the knowledge, they don't necessarily have an idea what the bankers are doing, because everything that they've been doing seem to Porsche and really authentic, that you have no idea what they're talking about. But come on, most of the bankers are taking advantage out of cheap rates. So as a result, what you see from what happened like recently during the COVID virus is that you're seeing the rich people are making more money. They are making even more money because what? Because the stock market price has been skyrocketed, because Fed been injecting insane amount of money inside the equity market. So these people end up having more money than the rest of the people, right? Because we're talking about like, company CEOs, we're talking about like company founders. They have their company listed in the open market, so their wealth significantly grow because they're holding all these shares, right? So they are making the most money, and your policy is not helping the world from like creating a more balanced or more fair kind of society. Well, on the opposite, you're destroying the poor people, right? You're using the taxpayers' money to bail the poor people out, and at the same time give the free money to the rich people so they can become richer. I mean, what kind of policy is that? I mean, seriously, American people, you have to wake up. Like, seriously, you got to wake up. And you see a lot of people been voting for Democrats for a very, very long time. You don't really know what's inside of their policy. It's all toxic pills, right? And I'm saying this repeatedly. Like Joe Biden, I know he is reluctant to fight against CCP, but anyway, he's going to do it because of what? He's a puppet, right? He's a puppet of the deep state, right? I've been saying that for a freaking long time, right? And I've been saying so many things right, but a lot of people find it difficult to believe. I mean, you just need to go and doing some fact check yourself. Go Google and some. I don't know what you're going to do, but Biden obviously he's the like he doesn't talk to the press. You don't even see his face showing on on the TV, right? You see that very occasionally, and I mean that's just nonsense. For me, he's just simply a puppet, right? And people are so angry, and he doesn't want Trump to win the election, so that's the only reason why he's being tough to China, right? And from my point of view, this is what happened with Democrats. They are not solving the problem. They're simply keep the problem, and they keep those bubbles pumping, right? So they can take advantage of these problems, right? They every time they lie to you, lie in front of your face, saying that we're trying to fix a problem for you guys, but they are not like fixing any problem. We're talking about Israel. We're talking about Middle East. We're talking about we're talking about a lot of like terrorists, so-called terrorists, a lot of things. They are not solving the problem because if they solve the problem, they cannot get cheap votes from you guys, right? I mean, if they solve the problem, so this is quite contrary to what we used to believe. That we used to believe if we vote for someone who's strong enough to solve our problems, we will nominate for another election, right? Simple as that. But the fact is, if the politicians realize if they solve the problem, right, they will have less, right? They will have to put more efforts. They would have to be working harder to gain the same amount of trust for us, like from we the people, right? So this is what they do. They just create a problem, and they are not solving any problem. Like for example, like North Korea and etc. Right? Look at what happened now. Most of the policy that Biden has been doing, promoting, basically following the same path from like Donald Trump, right? So I've heard someone saying a perfect analogy, like that was nice, was saying that you can compare Donald Trump, right, as a chef. He's about to finish his dish, and he's cooking stew or whatever, and he's on his way. He's almost done, right? And then now Joe Biden coming all along, kick Donald Trump out of the kitchen, and then simply take advantage of the almost boiled soup, and then all Biden needs to do is to put all these ingredients and put it on this soup to and put it on a nice silver plate and hand it to the customer. So the customer actually believe, okay, so Joe Biden is the chef. Donald Trump is not a chef. This is what the mainstream media tries to tell you, right? So I believe, guys, you need to wake up. This is basically what the deep state want you to believe. This world is full of propaganda. People who people don't really have the ability to think for themselves always fail. You always end up becoming like a slave, right? Right now we need to take back the control. So anyway, I will share a little bit of view of me, like looking at the Chinese real estate market. As we all know, like I've been saying this in the previous episode of my view on Chinese real estate market, is that it's toxic. It's not only toxic, it's highly not regulated, but it's highly controlled by the government, and at the same time it's highly extremely leveraged. It's a market full with very little liquidity, but insanely amount of leverage, and everyone just playing dumb, right? Everyone, because think about 1.4 billion people dreaming of sending their kids to Shenzhen, to Shanghai, to Guangzhou, right? It's impossible for this house price not to grow, right? But the problem is they will practically be bankrupt because they want to buy all these expensive house, right? It's extremely difficult. Like I mean, if you live in China, how many people do really have passport, right? If you actually calculate that number, that will actually shock you, right? So a lot of things, don't just believe what they're saying. All right, you have to experience it. You have to calculate for yourself. You have to see those numbers, right? Or simply like I don't believe any politicians. Like I do all my calculations. I remain independent kind of thinking. That's how I keep investing and trading. I never believe what they say. I only see what they're doing, right? I only see what they their actions with my own eyes, right? Anyone can be corrupted for any reasons. So it's insane to believe that Joe Biden is an angel, right? Maybe Donald Trump is an angel. I don't believe any one of them will be the angel. Of course, we're made to be selfish, right? We have flaws, right? Even myself, I have flaws, right? I'm just a random guy trying to have a podcast here. So anyway, today, because we have very limited amount of time, next time I will be sharing about the American recent act toward China, and also more of my insights on Chinese real estate market. So right now I'm just trying to run these little podcasts, and if you like my podcast, then please subscribe and share. Click that like button for me, so more and more people can hear this. I can provide more angles. Not necessarily you guys have to believe what I say, but you can see from your eyes, right? And see you'll be able to see this from total different angle. So I'll see you next time. Please share. Okay, guys. Goodbye.